Hi, I'm David Hay, and this is the Why I Create podcast. Thank you so much for joining. Today, we are going to talk about something that a lot of artists have experienced, but very few like to admit it, and that is ugly work. That thing you made that was supposed to be powerful and brilliant, but somehow looks like it was done by a raccoon having a midlife crisis with a box of crayons. Okay, let's be clear. Ugly doesn't mean bad. Ugly is often a code for not done yet, or this wasn't what I pictured in my head, or my personal favorite, oh no, no. Okay, that was kind of weird. But you've been there, right? You open your sketchbook, your DAW, an iPad, or a notebook, and the picture in your head is stunning, cinematic, or even transcendent. And then you make it, and it looks like a confused potato. Now let me introduce a radical idea. Making ugly work is not just okay, it's essential. It's part of the process. Actually, it is the process. But it doesn't feel that way when you're knee-deep in something that looks like a PowerPoint animation from 2004. Okay, let's talk about an artist here for a second. One that has changed pop music. That is Billie Eilish. Yes, the pop phenomenon who made whisper singing and oversized hoodies a cultural moment. When Billie was making her debut album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go?, she and her brother Phineas were making the songs in their bedroom. Not a glossy studio, a bedroom with a mattress against the wall and a microphone duct taped to the nightstand. A lot of that early stuff was kind of weird. The layered sound effects, the distorted vocals, a vocal fry, and even recordings of Billie pulling out her Invisalign. It didn't sound right in the traditional sense, but that's exactly why it worked. It was raw, sometimes intentionally messy. It definitely leaned into the uncomfortable side of things, and it changed the shape of pop music in the process. That early so-called ugly work, the stuff that didn't fit, became the blueprint for a whole new sound. Now, if you're thinking, okay, yeah, Billie Eilish, she's a genius, and I'm just a person with a cracked iPad and a dream, I totally get it. So let's zoom into something more current. Tyler Mitchell, a photographer and director, became a household name after shooting Beyoncé for Vogue in 2018. But what people forget is Tyler didn't come up through traditional fashion photography. His early work, the color was blown out, the cropping was weird. Sometimes it looked like he was just a kid taking pictures with a disposable camera at a party. But again, that is why it worked. It didn't look polished, it looked human, joyful, and real. He made what some might have called ugly work on purpose, and the industry changed around it. Okay, so let's talk digital. Because now when you post something, you're not just sharing, you're publishing. You're putting it in front of the eyes of total strangers who are just judging it based off a vibe. But here's the thing. All of your favorite creators, all of your favorite animators, illustrators, and poets, they've got graveyards of ugly drafts. Things that people will never see. Probably saved under file names like cringe.don't-open.wav. And buried in those drafts, gold. Because when you give yourself permission to be terrible, like really terrible, you free yourself up to find something unique and original. Something that's just not technically correct, but true. Okay, so here's what I think a lot of people miss. Ugly work isn't a detour from the creative path. It is the path. When you look at a half-baked idea, an off-kilter sketch, or a failed experiment, you're not looking at garbage. You're looking at evidence that you were pushing, testing, and trying to reach something that was beyond comfortable. That awkward stage is where your voice starts to separate from your influences. That's where your instincts get sharper. That's where style is born. Not when you polish the work, but when you notice your weirdest tendencies and lean into them. It's easy to celebrate finished pieces, but the real growth happens between drafts, when you're still searching for something and nothing is working, but you keep going anyway. Let's bring in our final artist, a film score legend who has a wall of awards and the emotional range of a symphony on fire. Hans Zimmer. Hans has said that for every big, sweeping score, Dune, Inception, Interstellar, and even the new F1 movie, there are tons of failed ideas behind them. He's not afraid to make noise, literally. He experiments with broken pianos, modular synths that sound like a robot having an existential crisis, and even percussion that sounds like a spaceship collision. He's even talked about building entire themes from sonic accidents, sounds that weren't pretty, that weren't clean, but they had energy, and energy matters more than perfection. Sometimes your music needs to sound wrong before it feels right. So here's your permission to make it weird, make it sloppy, make it loud, and even make it flop. Post a painting that feels off, or write a poem that makes absolutely no sense. Record that lo-fi track that nobody asked for, but your brain can't let go of. Because remember, every masterpiece that you love has a trail of disasters behind it. Every single artist that you admire has a stash of cringe, but they kept going. They didn't run from ugly, they ran toward it. So here's a thought to leave you with. The art that's most worth making probably won't come out perfect the first time. It might come out weird or broken or straight up unwatchable. But maybe, just maybe, that's exactly the point. Make it anyway. Thanks for listening. If this episode made you cringe, smile, or text your artist friend, "This is so us," then send it to them. And if you're making something ugly right now, I'm proud of you. Keep going. This is why I create. Talk soon. My EP just dropped called You Are Greater Than Time. It features music from an upcoming episode. I would really appreciate if you check it out. It'll be linked down at the bottom.